War films frequently rely on epic battles and heroes to make an impact. However, sometimes a silent prayer in the midst of pandemonium transforms a superb film into a cinematic masterpiece. Hacksaw Ridge depicts incredible brutality, bravery, and sacrifice. But it's one dramatic sequence when Desmond Doss, alone on the battlefield, whispers, "Lord, help me get one more," that transcends genre. It is no longer only about conflict, it's about faith, conviction, and the unwavering courage of a guy who refuses to carry a weapon while being a rescuer. In this video, we'll look at how one single moment transforms Hacksaw Ridge from an epic war drama to something absolutely remarkable. In the "Lord, help me get one more" sequence from Hacksaw Mountain, Desmond Doss, a medic and conscientious objector, remains on the battlefield after his unit flees, desperate to rescue wounded troops stuck on the mountain. Alone, unarmed, and under constant threat, he continually risks his life to locate, treat, and transport each soldier to safety. With each rescue, he says a simple, desperate prayer: "Lord, please help me get one more."
Help me get one more.
The moment vividly depicts Doss's unwavering faith, selflessness, and quiet heroism, elevating him from an unlikely soldier to a true legend of compassion and courage. Andrew Garfield, the male lead in Hacksaw Ridge, provides a remarkable performance as Desmond Doss, the real-life World War II physician who saved 75 men without a weapon. Garfield, known for his emotional depth and flexibility, brings quiet strength, tenderness, and conviction to the play, earning him an Academy Award nomination and solidifying his status as one of his generation's most acclaimed actors. Following the withdrawal of American troops, the battlefield became quieter. Desmond is encircled by the wounded, with shooting in the distance and death all around. The sound design changes. The clamor of conflict fades into faint screams for aid, wind, and eerie calm. Fires and flames in the sky give off a ghostly glow. In the midst of the devastation, Doss stands out like a shadow, physically little, but morally tremendous. The wide images highlight the huge and dismal battlefield. Faint orange and gray tones from fires and smoke dominate the color palette, resulting in a hauntingly beautiful war-torn scene. The camera pans slowly across immobile bodies, evoking a melancholy mood. Desmond is dwarfed by the scale of destruction, visually reinforcing the enormity of his task and his isolation. Doss hears a soldier groan. He races across the battlefield, dodging enemy patrols and gunfire to get to him. He drags the wounded man back to the cliff edge, makes a rope sling, and carefully lowers him down. Medics express amazement as the soldier reaches safety below. They have no idea who sent him. As Doss crawls through wreckage and fire, the camera shifts to handheld and over-the-shoulder shots, heightening the tension and intimacy. The use of low-key lighting and functional fire sources illuminates Doss's face, generating shadows that mirror the danger around him. As Doss approaches, the shallow depth of field focuses on the wounded soldier. His motions are deliberate and focused. The camera stays near, giving the audience a sense of claustrophobia and risk. Exhausted and shivering, Doss looks up and murmurs, "Lord, please help me get one more." This becomes the emotional refrain of the scene. Every time he saves someone, he says the prayer. The camera lingers on his face, dirty, terrified, and concentrated, revealing the closeness of his faith. Doss ties and lowers the men with homemade rope harnesses, as seen in medium and overhead images. The image shifts to wide, low-angle shots from the ridge's base, showing bodies descending from the sky, almost like divine intervention. The silhouette of Doss on the cliff edge against a misty backdrop provides an iconic image of a lone hero. Doss appears almost angelic, his upright body silhouetted by the firelight as he works selflessly in solitude. Doss continues to rescue soldiers, crawling through tunnels, pulling them through fire and muck, and even caring for enemy casualties. The music steadily builds. Quick cuts highlight the vast quantity of rescues. His hands are scorched by the rope. His uniform is saturated in blood, and his strength is nearly depleted, but he keeps going. Each time Doss whispers the prayer, the camera frames him in a close-up, centered and unmoving, establishing a visual rhythm. The lighting dims with each round, underlining his exhaustion and the mounting gravity of his sacrifice. The color tones cool slightly as the sequence goes, indicating fatigue and nightfall. His prayer, repeated in silence, contrasts with the turmoil around him, graphically confirming his faith as his only protection. After lowering several men, Doss collapses from pain and exhaustion. He rests in the mud, staring at the flaming sky. Then, hesitantly, he rises up again and mutters, "Please, Lord, help me get one more." This prayer reaches a spiritual crescendo, demonstrating that his duty is no longer physical, but truly divine. Dutch angles and unsteady handheld photos become more common as Doss narrowly misses enemy patrols. Shadows and light whirl violently around him, representing both psychological unrest and a physical threat. At moments, the camera lingers just long enough to suggest he won't make it, creating suspense through pacing. The battlefield becomes a crucible, and Doss's visual transformation from medic to legend is framed subtly. At the base of the ridge, medics start counting the guys Doss is lowering down. The word spreads that someone is up there saving the wounded. Doss's actions awe the men who had before doubted him. His resources are no longer nameless. His heroism is being recognized. Before we dig deeper and understand the scene better, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button to make sure that you get similar breakdowns of exceptional movie scenes. It would mean a lot to us. As Doss is rescued, we return to larger, more stable images that visually represent resolution. His body, dangling on the rope, echoes previous men he rescued, completing the visual metaphor of sacrifice. The aerial view of Doss, limp but alive, against the terrible brightness of the battlefield below is powerfully allegorical. He has become a part of the salvation he intended to provide. The graphics depict him as both a warrior and a witness. The sequence concludes with Doss being rescued after saving dozens. As he is brought down the ridge, injured but alive, he holds his Bible. The film pauses in reverent quiet, both visually and emotionally, revealing him as both human and heroic. Desmond Doss's metamorphosis from a misunderstood pacifist to a celebrated war hero is captured in the film's emotional and narrative conclusion, the "Lord help me get one more" sequence. Narratively, this sequence serves as both a resolution and a revelation. Doss, who had been derided and questioned for declining to carry a weapon, now exemplifies the truest type of bravery: selflessness. His repeated prayer is more than just a plea for strength. It is also a narrative device that demonstrates his unwavering faith and commitment to save lives in the midst of tragedy. Each rescue is a milestone in his character development, showing his growing conviction and resilience. The question is no longer whether he will live, but how far his moral will can take him. As he saves soldier after soldier, The narrative evolves from a war story to a portrayal of spiritual triumph, turning the battlefield into a character crucible. This moment effectively shows that heroism is defined not by aggression or dominance, but by compassion, endurance, and faith in a greater purpose. The music and sound design in the Lord Help Me Get More moment from Hacksaw Ridge enhances the emotional intensity, spiritual depth, and narrative urgency. The scene begins with a terrible silence. Subtle ambient sounds such as distant shooting, crackling flames, and the groans of the wounded, creating a harsh and sad atmosphere. This restrained use of sound contrasts sharply with the turmoil of previous war sequences, directing all emotional attention to Desmond Doss's solo quest. As Doss begins rescuing the injured, composer Rupert Gregson Williams introduces a quiet orchestral composition based on lingering strings and delicate piano themes. The music is simple and solemn, almost prayer-like, echoing Doss's murmured request, "Lord, help me get one more."
Help me get one more.
Each repetition of this sentence is accompanied by soft, swelling harmonies that become more prominent as the play unfolds, indicating increasing emotional stakes and spiritual drive. The sound design avoids melodrama, instead creating tension through pacing, dynamic quiet, and meticulous layering of footsteps, breathing, and rope friction, emphasizing the realism and fragility of each rescue mission. As Doss's physical strength fades and his resolve grows, the score modulates gently from frail to triumphant, emphasizing his perseverance and the divine weight of his mission. When Doss is ultimately saved, the music builds to a calm crescendo, reflecting the holiness of what he has accomplished. The scene's auditory landscape shifts from dread to faith, with music and sound serving not only to support the visuals, but also to strengthen the viewer's emotional and spiritual connection to the moment. By doing so, the score transforms Doss's personal sacrifice into a global monument to courage, conviction, and compassion. Hacksaw Ridge's "Lord Help Me Get More" scene is the film's emotional and conceptual climax, pushing the boundaries of what a war movie can portray. The scenario develops into something more than merely a depiction of combat heroes, thanks to a combination of frightening imagery, controlled yet powerful sound design, and a very human tale. Desmond Doss, played with amazing nuance by Andrew Garfield, is not shown as a superhuman power, but as a delicate, wounded man clinging to quiet inner strength. This vulnerability is crucial. It is what makes his boldness credible and inspirational. As he crawls through blood-soaked mud, dodges hostile patrols, and lowers injured teammates one by one, the audience sees the full development of a character whose ideals were once mocked, but are now the moral anchor of the plot. The recurrent repetition, "Lord, help me get one more," is more than a plea. It serves as the scene's heartbeat. It provides rhythm to the pacing, structure to the rescues, and spiritual depth to the action. Each whisper serves as a tipping point, a moment when Doss chooses faith over fear, goal over self. The film's most powerful moments are those quiet repeats, which illustrate that true heroism is frequently subtle, persistent, and anchored in compassion rather than aggressiveness. Visually, the sequence is intended to raise Doss's deeds to near mythic proportions, while maintaining the brutal realities of combat. He is framed alone against firelit skies and darkened ruins, creating a visual metaphor for light in the darkest places. The music supports this tone, with restrained, contemplative scoring that avoids sentimentality in favor of evoking silent wonder. Overall, this sequence is more than just a highlight of the film. It redefines its soul. Hacksaw Ridge is transformed from a visceral war drama to a spiritual journey, testing faith and humanity under harsh conditions. It maintains that true valor consists not in the destruction of foes, but in the unwavering safeguarding of life. By doing so, it raises the picture to the status of a unique masterpiece, one that does not glorify conflict, but rather portrays the soul that can withstand it. Did you enjoy the video? Please go through our channel to find more interesting breakdowns of famous scenes of brilliant movies. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.